Unicorns and glitter and taxidermy critters are just some of the things they like. They also enjoy 80s hair bands, Grizzly Adams and John Goodman, so if you think that's weird then you can take a hike. But the things they enjoy the most are making art and cracking jokes, so without further ado, here are your hosts. You've got your two artsy gals, your two artsy gals. Here are your two artsy gals.
Hey everybody, this is Katie.
And this is Sharon.
And this is the Two Artsy Gals podcast. And today we are going to talk to you about altered books.
Yay!
So they are pretty cool. Sharon, you were saying you're not super familiar with altered books?
No, I don't do the altered books like you do, like your incredible stuff. I've done a little bit of like painting in journals and, making little books on my own. But as far as really delving into it as much as you have, no.
Well, and it's actually a fairly new thing to me. I've only been doing the altered books really for a couple of years. And I got into doing them through a couple of art groups that I belong to. Just so everybody knows who may not be familiar with it, altered books are basically exactly what they sound like. And I'll put up a couple of links to some articles about them on the blog in the show notes. You just take a book and you do art in it. You alter it in any way you want to. That's that simple.
Awesome. And I've seen some of your altered books, like you've cut into the pages.
Yeah.
Made like boxes almost out of them, or shadow boxes.
Yeah, I make shadow boxes out of them, and you can also, you can put drawers in them and secret hiding places in them. That's kind of one of the things I really like about doing that, is because there are no rules and it allows you to be really super creative. And I've seen some stuff on Pinterest. If you go on Pinterest and you type in altered books, there's some crazy, amazing stuff. People actually carve the paper in the, so the book is open, and I'll post links to a couple of these too, because I don't know how they must stiffen the pages or glue them together somehow, but the book is open, so they've carved into the pages and carved, the one I'm thinking of specifically is there's one that someone has carved the word read into the pages. Have you seen that?
I haven't seen that, but I've seen somewhere things are coming out of the books from the pages. Yeah, it's pretty incredible.
Those are pretty mind-blowing. That's some next level awesome right there.
Yeah, no kidding.
So, like I said, my experience is pretty limited. I've only been doing it for a couple of years, but I do feel like I'm kind of expanding on it now and getting a little bit braver with the stuff that I do. Mm-hmm. When I first started, I was pretty timid. And then I learned that you really can't make a mistake.
Right. Or I'm cutting a book.
Well, you know what? I did have trouble with that at first because I'm a huge book nerd.
Yeah.
And I keep all of my books, and I am the worst person in the world to borrow a book from because I'm kind of an asshole about getting my books back in the condition that they were given in. I've seriously said, you can just keep that. When people have tried to give a book back to me because it's had a coffee ring on it or something, and my brain just went I was like, oh my god. So it was kind of weird to cut into a book at first. Mm-hmm. But I just find crappy books that I wouldn't read.
Right.
And that is actually one thing I want to talk about first before you get started on doing an altered book. You need to pick your book. Mm-hmm. And I tend to go to I Look in Goodwill or other thrift stores like Salvation Army, because you don't want to go buy a brand new book, and I think a part of me would actually die if I did that.
Right.
But find a used book, find an old book. There's a couple of places that I don't want to give away my sources for books around town here, because I don't want people running out and then buying up all the awesome books. So I'm just going to keep it zippered on that one. But But you can look for old book, secondhand stores. There are stores that you can buy that are specifically used books. But one thing that you want to look for that I have found pretty important are sewn signatures or sewn bindings rather than glued bindings.
Oh.
So you're going to be looking at older books, probably published before 1950, and I actually have a friend who wrote a really good article about how to tell if a book has a sewn binding or a glued binding. So I'll put a link to that in the show notes on our blog too, because it can be kind of hard to tell. Sometimes I've assumed that it was a sewn binding and it wasn't. But the reason that you want that is because sewn bindings are more durable.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and so with an art book, like any kind of altered art book, you're going to be opening it up and looking at it a lot after you're done with it. And then if you're doing like a round robin or something, it's going to be passed around between people, and it's going to have, you know, presumably like a lot of paint put on it. People might rip pages out and do things. So you want a book that's going to be able to stay together. And because I've had a couple that just went and fell apart. They just
that makes sense.
Blew apart.
Yeah.
And I'm actually doing a round robin right now, and one of my friends that's doing it said his binding just like fell apart. He's going to have to sew the book back together when he gets it home, because it just kind of the paint, I think, loosened the glue.
Oh.
And then all the pages just fell out. So I don't actually know what can do. I don't know. I think he just put it in a binder or something for now, and then when we get it back. So, you know, you don't have to use a sewn binding, but if you want it to last a long time, you should probably just take the effort and look for it. You know, I mean, really, if you just pull the signature page, like, you'll be able to see. A signature is a group of, for those who don't know, it's a group of pages that are folded in half. So, like, they're put in the book in little sections.
Right.
So that's one of those little sections is a signature.
Oh,
and usually in a hand-sewn binding, you'll be able to see the signatures very clearly lined up on the twill fabric they're attached to on the spine.
Right.
So that's pretty much a dead giveaway. And also, if you pull the signatures open, you'll be able to see threads that they're sewn together with in there. And
for people that don't know, the books that you're using are going to be hardbound books, not
absolutely
soft.
Yes.
Yeah, not like paperback.
No,
but
no, you don't want to use a paperback. I mean, I suppose you could, but those are going to be glued for sure.
Right.
So
for sure,
and they're going to fall apart most definitely. Actually, a pretty easy way to make sure, or to almost guarantee that you're going to be getting an affordable book to use, and B, a hand-sewn binding, is to go find old dictionaries.
Oh.
Or old reference books, because they're cheap, because they're out of date. Because, you know, they add new words to dictionaries every year. So if you find a really old one, it's an out-of-date dictionary, it's likely going to be really cheap, but those kind of books are also made to last. Like, people want to use, you know, you're using a dictionary a lot, presumably, if you're, or just any kind of reference book. They're generally made to be a little bit more durable. So.
And are the pages too thin, though, in a dictionary? Or, you know, I know that some of my dictionary pages are really thin.
Depends on what you want, but I have a book that I'm working with right now that the pages are a little bit thin in, so I just use a glue stick and glue 2 pages together when I'm working on it. So if they're a little thin, sometimes you kind of want that. It kind of gives it a cool thing, but you can glue a page or 2 pages together to make them a little bit more substantial, like a little bit more substantial working surface.
That's a great idea.
And that always works, and you'll want to make sure, I think most products now, when you buy glue sticks and stuff like that, it's all acid-free.
Right.
So, archival quality stuff. You want to make sure that you're doing that just because it's art, and you don't want it to get all yucky. But yeah, you can glue a couple pages together, or I've also just glued, like, it depends, a page I did here recently, I used old wallpaper as a background, so I just glued that to the page.
Oh, cool.
So there are all kinds of things that you can do to kind of strengthen up or shore up the pages. I know people who gesso pages, and it kind of gives it a little bit more of a stiffness, but there's always a workaround. And in a friend of mine's book that I did here a while back, I hosted a round robin last year that we made superhero tomes. So you just, like, chose your superhero, made up a superhero, like your own, that was you. And then, so the first couple of pages everybody did was their superhero. After everybody designed their superhero or whatever, then each person in the round robin gave the superhero powers.
Oh.
So it was kind of cool, but
that's awesome.
But yeah, we did I kind of lost track of why I even brought that up, but
Well, so altered books can be round robins. So I mean,
yeah,
that's another way to do it.
that's how I do most of them.
Uh-huh.
Most of them, because it's fun to have a collection of art from different people.
Yeah, that's really
book.
cool.
So, and if you're going to do a round robin, and that's kind of what I was going to walk people through. Most people you get your book.
Mm-hmm.
Some artists like to work with a theme. Some people don't. Some
Yeah.
people just say, put whatever you want in there. But
Cool.
I kind of am a themey gal, and I like to stick with a theme.
Uh-huh.
So I try to do that. Usually, if you're doing the round robin, you would include a note
Uh-huh.
with your book saying, okay, this is the theme that I want to do, so please do this or please do that, or, whatever.
And in that same round robin, could you get like another book that's just like do whatever?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Whatever.
Cool.
Because people just do whatever they want to do. I like to make, and most people do like a sign-in page at the front of the book.
Uh-huh.
So every artist that works on it signs in, because some people sign their pages, some people don't sign their pages, but it's kind of nice to have just a little section where the name of every artist that worked in there
Right.
is there. So you can do that. And then once you have your book, you pick your theme, and you get a couple of pages. You generally start by putting a few pages in and kind of set the tone for the book, it almost feels like. And then with the round robins, you just mail generally you have a person that you mail to on the list.
That's awesome.
So like the one that I'm working on right now, we have a 30-day turnaround.
Uh-huh.
So I just mailed the new one out, and then like we mail the first of the month. So
you might not get your book back for several months.
Well, I won't see my book again. There's 5 people in this round robin, so I won't see it for 5 months.
Wow.
So it's really cool when you get it back.
Yeah.
And then you get to see all the stuff. And because by that time you've almost kind of forgotten what it is that you did.
Right.
And then you get to see the work, like your work next to another person's work, and it builds like the way other artists build on the theme and interpret the theme. It's really neat.
That's awesome. That's really cool.
Did you have any specific questions about the way, like, altered books or the way they work, or?
No, I feel like you, answered like with the pages. Do people alter the covers? Do you want to talk about the covers?
Yeah, because you can leave the cover the way you want it, or you can alter it. I always alter the covers.
Okay.
In some way, just because I think it makes it, it's more personalized that way. But some people don't alter the covers, or some people, altering can mean anything. Like,
right.
You don't have to completely alter it so it's unrecognizable as the book that it started out as. You can just, because like the book that I'm working on right now, I found an old, forever ago in Olympia. We went to that, where that, the antique mall in Olympia, Washington.
Uh-huh.
I found this book on manners that was written in like 1895 or something like that. And
I think my mom has
frigging hilarious. Like, so I also have one on raising children that I'm saving for a round robin, because.
Oh my god. Grab a switch from the backyard?
Yeah, and there's a whole big section about how to stop masturbation, because it's really a bad thing for people to do. So, which cracks me up. So I have a whole theme building just on that alone in my book. I have this book, so, it always gets dirty here. I don't know why. We're dirty girls, and we giggle about nasty stuff, so. The book on manners is hilarious, because I also have this, Italian graphic novel that's basically cartoon pornography. And I'm not talking a little bit of pornography. I'm talking like, whoa. Like, in the last section of the book, someone's on a fucking shrink's couch talking about all the weird shit that they just did. So, it's in Italian. I don't know what the hell. I can't read Italian. But the only thing I can do in Italian is tell someone to fuck off and ask for the bathroom. So I used the manners, like the pages on the manners, and like different sections, and I cut out words from them, and then I used the porny pictures. I think I posted pictures. I think I talked about this a few episodes ago, actually.
I feel like you maybe did, but this is funny. This is good stuff.
So, but yeah, it's dirty. It's, like, filthy. I just thought it was hilarious, like, the juxtaposition of, like, these stiff Victorian manners And then this really nasty, like, dude crawling across the floor with the leg of a chair up his butt. So. Oh, I'm not even kidding you. It's bad. And all you can tell is he's yelling no, because no in Italian and English is the same fucking two letters. So. Like, what is happening? I kind of don't want to know. So.
Oh my god, I can't wait to see the pictures of this book.
You know, so I send that out. Now it's kind of a free-for-all in that book.
Yeah,
I'm like,
sure. Well, I can't wait to see the pages in that book.
I know, I'm like, just be as dirty as you want. I mean, clearly, look what I've done here, so. And thankfully, it's with a group of friends we've all worked together before, and we're all pretty dirty people, so. So
nobody's getting it that's thinking, oh my word.
No, I kind of put a little, hey, this is what I want to do out there before we started that round robin.
Right.
And one of my friends was like, bring on the nasty Italian porn. It's great. Nobody was worried about it, so.
Right.
Covers. On that book, that's what we started out talking about.
Oh, right.
I totally redid the cover, but I kept the name of the book.
Oh, awesome.
Because I thought it was funny.
Right.
So I made I just redid it, so it looked like an old leather-bound book I used a copper plaque.
Oh, cool.
So some people do that. Some people make it look completely different.
Mm-hmm.
Some people make new covers
Mm-hmm.
for their books. And some people take pages from other books and sew them together and make a different book. And I'm not going to talk too much about binding because I feel like it deserves an episode of its own.
Mm-hmm.
But you can do hand-bound altered books where, like, well, and in the instance, like my friend whose book fell apart for this round robin
right.
is going to have to rebind it. I don't know how he's going to do it, but, you know, you can take pages from other books and put them together and make an altered book that way. It doesn't have to just be one book.
Right.
And like I was saying, this is so awesome. It's so much fun to do because there aren't any rules about it.
Yeah.
Like, you're
it's
changing it.
just like endless. You can just do anything.
Yeah. You know, I have a friend who does a lot of, she ends up doing a lot of sewing, like, in books.
Oh, neat.
Like, she sews stuff to the pages physically, and she stitches little charms and trinkets onto stuff, and she does more dimensional, built-up work. I like to do, like I've been doing lately, is hollowing them out and doing assemblages inside of them.
Yeah, that's really cool.
And I'm even now practicing and figuring out how to wire lights into it so you can turn it on and, like, things light up inside of it.
Wow.
So that's kind of the big project that I've been working on privately right now.
Yeah, it just really seems like the possibilities are endless with them.
Endless. And I actually just saw recently somebody did a piece of art that was posted in a group. They did, like, an old apothecary book. Like, It would be like a poison book or an apothecary book where you open it up and there are little drawers and stuff. They used matchboxes to make little drawers, and they had little bottles and flasks filled with different herbs and stuff in them, and they kind of made aged labels to make it look like you have your little poison kit with you. Yeah. And it looked like an antique poison kit. And I kind of want to do that. I want to recreate one of those. It's pretty neat.
Yeah. Yeah, that sounds really awesome.
It's funny to me right now listening to how I talk about it, because I guess I didn't realize I get so excited about it. Because it was something that I was like I said, I was super timid about it when I first started doing it.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want anyone to tell me that I was doing it wrong.
Right. And I think that's a hard thing is, like, artists, but, like, with altered stuff or mixed media, it's like there's no wrong way.
Yeah, you're not doing it wrong.
Yeah.
Because you're just doing it. So that's exactly all it means.
And as an artist, that's your interpretation of how to do it, you know?
Yeah, and I think it's easier where it's like, you know, if I sit down and try to do, like, other mediums and other things that I'm not don't excel at, like drawing. Like, I can draw well, but it takes me a really fucking long time to do it, and honestly, I don't like doing it, because because I feel like, especially if it's things like portraits of people or stuff like that, you know, that's not something that I'm great at, and that's always something that I feel like somebody's going to go, wow, you could have done this or this. Like, I'm never confident, I guess, in my work with that kind of stuff. But with altered books, I've learned to be very confident in it, because, like, I've done 3 or 4 round robins now, and there is no wrong way to do anything.
Right. And I bet like when you see something new, it's like, oh, there's a cool thing to do. That's a new way to do it. Or,
yeah. And we get a lot of swap ideas for, I think you belong to that group with me.
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah. I hardly participate because
I know. But yeah, you don't always have time. And we haven't done anything in that group actually in quite a long time. But people always post really cool stuff on in that group because, you see something come up and they just share, go, hey, we should do this. And we haven't actually done it yet. But,
yeah.
I think the poison kit is going to be something that maybe we do.
Yeah.
I hope. I want to kind of push for it because it's really cool.
That's awesome.
So, it's kind of like those, have you seen those antique, the vampire kits? That people actually had? And they have, little things where you, they would carry their crucifix and garlic and, whatever weird holy water and, a wooden stake.
Whoa.
I kind of want one of those, too.
Wow.
No wonder my husband and son think I'm weird. As far as pages go, I think I already covered this really, but I just want to, collage is the biggest medium that happens in altered books.
Right.
People collage pages and you can, as we covered on our episode of collage can be anything. You can paint, you can cut stuff out, you can whatever.
Right.
So that's really what you're doing is getting a book and collaging on the pages.
Mm-hmm.
And as many pages as you want.
That's awesome.
So. Yeah,
it sounds like so much fun. It inspires me to, to do a book.
Yeah, well, you'll have to jump in on a round robin pretty soon.
Yeah.
Maybe this winter we'll do another one.
Yeah.
Because it seems like you have a little bit more time in the winter.
Yeah.
A little more downtime.
Yeah.
So, anyway, I think we got it wrapped up, really, pretty much.
Yeah, that was a fun topic.
Yeah, and I think later in the summer, maybe we'll do, or in the fall, we'll do an episode specifically about hand binding and making hand-bound journals and books. Because I had originally had that kind of lumped in with this topic, but
I think it's its own.
Yeah, it's its own thing. It can be used in the process of altering a book, but I do also feel like it's its own thing and it deserves a bigger chunk of attention. So, yeah, if any of you have any comments about this episode or questions or we didn't cover something, you can go ahead and send us an email at twoartsygals@gmail.com and we will be happy to answer your questions. You can also just send us an email and tell us how awesome we are. And send us love letters.
We like that.
Because we like that too. You can subscribe to our podcast on Stitcher and iTunes. And you can also leave feedback there. It'll bump us up in ratings. And that would be really rad. And you can follow us on Twitter. And we'll try to tweet once in a while. And I think that's about it. Well, until next time. Bye.
All right. And make a lot of art this week.
Yeah, do that.
Okay.
All right,
Bye-bye.
Bye.